Alright, hello everyone, it's Happy, and today we are going to be looking at the IS-7 and the IS-4, and we're going to be comparing these tanks after all the changes that went through them in update 10.3, and we're going to be finding out which of these tanks you guys should play in the year 2023 after all of these major updates have went through. So, let's look at the IS-7 and the IS-4 a little bit more closely. Now, let's get the mobility out of the way, guys, because both of these tanks have 42 kilometers forward and very, very similar amounts of horsepower per ton. So we both have around 15 horsepower per ton. So again, very, very similar numbers indeed. Now, the IS-7 was always known to be a little bit more fast, but the IS-7 sort of got nerfed when it comes to the mobility, so it's not as good as it used to be, because this tank used to go up to 50 kilometers per hour very, very nicely. No longer does that happen, and the IS-7 and the IS-4 are sort of the same. To be fair, the standard 42 kilometers forward is pretty much apparent in all tier 10 heavy tanks. A lot of these tanks have 42 kilometers forward, and I don't really understand the decision behind this. Maybe they could have changed it up a little bit, 40 kilometers, 38 kilometers, 45 kilometers, I don't know. But Wargaming really like to make all of these heavy tanks have the same mobility, which is very weird to me. 42 seems to be the new standard or the new normality in tier 10 for heavies. Now, getting past that, we have weapon handling. And in this section, the IS-4 is the clear winner with better aim time and better accuracy on its gun. So the IS-4's gun is going to be much more superior than the IS-7, not only in terms of weapon handling, but also when it comes to the penetration, because it still has more penetration at 330 with gold shells than the IS-7 at 320 with gold shells. But the IS-7 has a little bit more penetration when it comes to AP shells at 255 versus 252. Not that big of a difference. The reload time is also better on the IS-4 with 9.1 seconds versus 10.68. And of course, the alpha on the IS-4 is going to be 420 on average, while the IS-7 is 460. So the only thing that the IS-7 wins in is going to be alpha. Aim time, dispersion, DPM is obviously going to the IS-4. So the gun is definitely better on the IS-4, and the mobility is basically identical as well. So, what is going to be the main difference when you're comparing these two tanks? And that is going to be the armor, guys. The IS-7 still has one of the best armor profiles when it comes to the game. However, the IS-4 is also close by. Even though it did get nerfed, a lot of tanks will not be able to penetrate the IS-4 frontally without gold shells. Let's face it, unless you're a heavy tank with high penetration and you're pretty much very close to the IS-4, in mid to long ranges, it's still going to be hard to pen this tank. But let's be real, the IS-7 is going to have a much better armor overall when it comes to the turret, the side profile, and of course, frontally, the IS-7 is king compared to the IS-4 when it comes to the armor profile, especially after the humongous nerf the IS-4 received. So, what do we have in turn? The IS-7, which has better armor than the IS-4, the IS-4 that has a better gun than the IS-7, but the same mobility. In my opinion, I would choose the IS-7 because the weapon handling is not going to be that important if you're fighting on the front line, right? If the enemy is like, 20 meters away from you, 10 meters away from you, the weapon handling isn't really going to matter as much. On top of that, you have a better alpha on the IS-7, meaning that you can exchange shots in a much better fashion compared to the IS-4. And overall, you're just going to survive less on the IS-4 nowadays. So I would definitely recommend you guys to get the IS-7 because this is still the same old IS-7 with troll armor and a decent gun and good mobility. So tell me what you guys think about this in the comment section below. And with that, Happy is out, and I'll definitely see you guys next time. Bye-bye.